Today we're going to be talking about the Head Prestige MPL. So before we get into this video though, do not forget to like and subscribe. Really helps the channel on our way to 10K subs. It's free of charge as well, so be sure to like and subscribe. Head Prestige MPL. This is a racket I actually reviewed over the summer. Unfortunately, I don't have it with me right now. I can only take so much stuff back to school with me. It's so many rackets, so many things. But I have some great footage for you guys to show you. Yeah, the Head Prestige MPL. Normally I don't talk about L rackets from Head on the channel, but I think this one has a spot. And of course, big thank you to Tennis Zone. Without them, these videos that I do racket reviews on are not possible. So big thank you to them. If you guys are interested in buying this MPL racket or any other rackets, be sure to check them out at their site, Tennis Zone, and you guys can use our code to get a little bit on a discount on any of their products on their site. So this racket does have some interesting specs. It's got 99 square inches. Not many rackets do have that spec. The only ones I can really think about on the top of my head is the Wilson Shift line. This racket is way different than the Wilson Shift. Maybe you guys can leave in the comments any other 99 square inch rackets that are out there. I can't actually think of any on the top of my head right now. So 99 square inches, it has a 21.5 millimeter beam all the way around, which is quite thin. And on paper, it comes in at 318 strung. I believe I also swing weighted this with my Graffiti swing mate machine, so maybe we can overlay some of that stuff here now, which would be great. But this racket is interesting because it's a lighter version of Head's most controlled line. I strung it up with my current setup, which I do use, which is the Tourline Hybrid, Caviar in the main, Super Toro in the cross. And I did end up adding weight to this racket as well, but I tested it with both. So I'm going to be able to give you guys what I thought about it with weight and without. And of course, we're sticking with our tier system here today, the 1, 2, 3 checks. That's what we've been doing with our rackets in the last little while. We've got good feedback, so we're going to continue to do that. All right, so starting out from the back, hitting some ground strokes, forehands and backhands. How did this feel? The feedback from the racket is very true. You get that on all your shots. Every ball you hit, you really get good feedback. What do I mean by that? I feel like when the ball comes out of the strings, like you feel a lot of it. The sensation is very pure when it comes off the string bed. If you hit off the center of the strings, you really feel that. This is with and without weight. Maybe this is because it is an L racket, which means light. PL means MP light instead of the regular mid plus. So that's just one thing I noticed overall, especially from the back. If you're not catching it in the middle, the racket will let you know. The groundies, they were pretty solid overall. I think the launch angle is a little bit lower maybe than say, my older Radical, my older Extreme Tour, my current Extreme Pro, and of course some other rackets that I've liked and demoed over the past couple of years. If you're somebody that's used to this Prestige launch or you want a lower launch, maybe you come from a Pro Staff, L or something like that, you're gonna really like this. It comes off the racket nice, but like I said, it's gonna be able to let you know when you make shots that are out of that sweet spot. So in this case, since I don't love that feedback every time, and I would like to have a little larger of a sweet spot, I'll give it like 2 checks, but it barely gets to that 2 check mark. The other thing I'd like to mention here on Groundstrokes is you are able to create some good topspin. Even though this is a Prestige racket, it is 99 square inches, it's a 1619 pattern. You can create some good topspin out of this. It just has a lower launch overall. Coming up into the net, Prestige rackets, this is where they shine. I really think this racket plays well up at the net, considering it's a lighter frame. With weight, it was better up at the net. At times it could be a little unstable just because of the weight, but I think if you're a club player, you want that control. Like I said, you play with Pro Staff blade, maybe even a Radical. This is gonna be an easier switch and you'll like it up at the net, taking those touch volleys and stuff. So I'm gonna give it another 2 checks here. But for somebody that's playing, more high performance tennis, D1, D2, D3, NAIA, you're playing pro, you're playing high level juniors, I think you'll really need to beef this up or go towards the regular MP. I just think that overall when balls are coming fast and hard at you, you're gonna need some more weight on the racket. So that's why we're gonna stick it at 2 checks, but it's once again barely getting to that 2 check mark. Now talking about serves, this racket definitely has some ups and downs here on the serve. You are able to create the spins you need, but it's not enough. for me. I'm somebody that loves to go hard after that kick serve, get some nice jumping action off the ground with the spin. Same with the slice serve. I also think the power potential on this racket overall is lower, and considering it's a lighter racket to begin with, you really got to swing out to get what you want. And on the serve, it wasn't quite what I was looking for. Although it had amazing control and precision, it didn't give me what I wanted, even with added weight. So we're gonna stick it with 1 check here. All right, now returns. Similar theme, a little bit unstable overall. I'll give it 2 checks. You are able to block it nice. It played better with weight, but overall, it's not really giving me what I was hoping for. This racket's actually not for me, so I'm trying to give feedback too for other players. If you, like I said, if you're a pro staff user, a blade user, you want that added control with a lighter racket, this is gonna be like absolutely in your wheelhouse and you're gonna love it. But for me, it is, you know, a 2 check on the return. All right, now in the power category, briefly touched on this in the serve. This is a 1 check for sure. It does not give you a lot of power, I think, even with the 99 square inch, 1619. It's just the beam is not that thick, and also the stiffness, one thing I forgot to mention, is 61 on this, so it's not gonna be that stiff. Higher stiffness levels tend to give more power out of rackets, such as Pure Drives, Pure Errors, other rackets like that. Giving a 1 check here on the power, this is like a very, it depends on your play style and how you play, so I wouldn't take this, you know, power grade, you know, too much to heart. If you're somebody that doesn't want a lot of power, then this 1 check is going to be like amazing for you. Like a Pure Arrow is going to get 3 checks versus this racket that's only going to get 1 check. So don't take it too much to heart. If a racket ever gets a 1 check grade on the scale, it just means it doesn't have a lot of power that it can produce. And on the flip side, we got control. This is where I'm going to give it 3 checks. This is where this racket is shining. It's pinpoint precision. It's a prestige. It's great. This is what this bracket is meant for. I'm gonna keep it short and brief, 3 checks. Another one here that we're gonna give 3 checks, maneuverability. Since this racket is pretty light, the beam is thin, it feels really nice in your hands actually. Gonna give it 3 here for sure. It moves easy through the air, for sure, triple check. Now moving on to some stability, this is where I personally had trouble. A lower level player, maybe a club player, won't have this issue just because the ball speeds are not as fast, they don't swing as fast, they're not moving as fast on court maybe. But for me, stability up at the net, once in a while in the return, but a little bit inconsistent, so that's why we're gonna give it 1 check. When it comes to comfort as well, this racket actually didn't give me any arm pain. Sometimes people with prestige rackets, you know, they're more control oriented, they have to swing more. I know this isn't MPL, but they do have to give more on the ball just because there's not much power behind it. They do have arm issues or wrist issues, shoulder problems. I didn't have this problem at all, and I don't think people will because this racket is pretty light, but the stiffness level is quite low. People get arm issues normally due to higher stiffnesses or higher tensions, but if you have like a average tension with this racket and the stiffness is, like I said, 61, you're not gonna have any issues here. So with comfort, I will give it 3 checks. All right, touch and feel. Once again, we're gonna give this 3 checks. Prestige rackets is where the touch and feel shines. Just like the control and the precision, touch and feel goes hand in hand with that in my eyes. If you want to hit like a rinky-dink little slice drop shot, you want to hit like a, you know, an angle pass, volleys, drop volleys, all that stuff. I love doing that with these touch and feel frames, such as Pro Staffs, Prestiges, stuff like that, or rackets that are similar. You know, is it my favorite racket ever on touch and feel? Absolutely not, but I think for a lot of people, this is gonna be 3 checks in this category. And we got 2 categories left, topspin and slice. So working with some spins here. Topspin, it's definitely a battle between a 1 and a 2 check. It's definitely not outstanding, so I cannot give it 3. So I think I'm gonna stick it with 2, but once again, it's borderline on the 2. If somebody argued that it was a 1, I would be okay with that. But for the sake of, I believe there's a lot of players that can use this racket, I'll give it 2. And with slice, for me, it actually ended up being a 2, but for some people, it could be a 3. But without weight, I would actually give it a 1, just because since the ball's coming fast at me when I'm playing, it just didn't have enough stability to knife through the air. Although prestige rackets are typically known for having that nice sensation on the slice, I just feel like since it's a lighter racket, it doesn't work for me, but for a lot of people it will. So once again, I'm talking about my play test. It does have the potential to have a 3 check, but for me, club players are gonna enjoy this that want that extra control and feel from a racket. So I think a lot of people are gonna get that from this frame. If you want to buy this racket, you guys can check out Tennis-On. You guys can get a little bit of a discount with our code there and pick up this racket. So there you guys have it. Prestige MPL, 99 square inches, 1619. Don't forget to like and subscribe. I'll catch you guys in the next video.